After you watch this video, you will know everything there is to know about how to play a game in Disney's Lorcana, the first chapter. Hello Rebels, and welcome to the place for any and all info on Lorcana. So today we got a slightly different looking video for you. Everything's kind of rotated and there's the both of us here. But we're going to play through an example game and kind of go through the general ideas that you'll see in every single game. No advanced strategies here, just the basics. And so for the basics, we have just two of the starter decks. I'm going to be playing the Amber and Amethyst starter deck, and Mr. Maleficent there is going to be playing the Emerald and Ruby deck.
Absolutely.
So we're first thing you're going to do always, just shuffle your cards. We've been shuffling them quite a bit, so we don't have to waste too much time shuffling, on camera here. But you just want to shuffle them real good, best you can. And once you're done shuffling them, if you're just playing like a casual game, everything's fine. But in like most professional settings, it's always customary to have your opponent split the deck just to make sure that no nonsense has gone on with the deck there. And then once you have your deck here, you will draw the top 7 cards off of it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now what you can do is you could either keep all 7 cards in your hand, or you could mulligan, or another common phrase for that is just swap out any cards you don't want. You could do 1 card, you could do 3 cards, you could do all 7 of your cards, you can do none. Whatever card you don't like, or you don't want to start out with, you can put back. So everyone has their different strategies. Like I said, we're not going to get too deep into it.
Mine is usually get rid of all high-cost uninkables.
Yeah.
And if there's a card that maybe you don't personally use that often,
Yeah.
I honestly
that one.
hate this Rapunzel card.
And also, typically you won't show your opponent what cards you are inking, but just that way you guys can see a little bit more clearly what we are and aren't inking. And also, our hands are for the most part hidden from each other, but you guys can kind of see them, so apologies for the weird angle. We'll make sure to highlight the cards when we do play them. I'll also get rid of that one. I'll keep 4 of my cards and mulligan 3. So what you'll do is you take all the cards that you mulliganed and put them at the bottom of your deck, and you'll draw back up to 7. And you can only do this once, though, so whatever cards I draw here, I'm stuck with, and yeah, one of those cards, I always get stuck with that card.
And then following the mulligan, you do get to shuffle.
Yeah, so I got my 7 cards in my hand. You will reshuffle your deck to make sure that all those cards at the bottom kind of get evenly distributed. Which is another reason why, like, if I get like a 5 or 6, or any card really higher than a 5, I'll usually mulligan it. Just because, it's not going to be really any of use to me right away. There's some cards that I'll, keep in my hand because they're really good, but not often.
And my different strategy is I keep high-cost cards. As you saw, I did keep this one right here, and I'll use it as ink. I got no problem with that. The option to have the high-cost card to play as early as possible is beneficial to me.
Yeah, different strategies. I also do it because I usually draw, as you can see here, a high cost card anyway. So generally we'll roll dice to, you can roll dice to see who goes first or just choose somebody. So let's just have me go first this time. But generally what I'll do is I'll roll actually, you got some dice there. Let's roll a d6, see who can decide, because that's part of it. So he gets a 3. I rolled a 1, so you will get to decide who goes first. So it doesn't just mean you get to go first, you get to decide.
So in this game, it's usually best to just go first. There's not really a counter-attack strategy yet, so...
It depends, because like if I don't have any 1-cost cards and I get to choose, I'll typically choose to go second, because since the person who goes first gets an advantage, the person who they do not draw a card at the start of their turn. So I'm going to explain the phase of a turn, essentially, that you'll do. So you'll have the cards in your hand, and the first thing you're going to do, let's say, I have a card here that I use that's exerted, an item over here that's exerted, and then I got ink that I played down here that's exerted as well. So there are 3 words that you're going to want to remember whenever you start a turn, and that's ready, set, draw. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to ready all your cards. You'll set up any depending on the effects that they have, and then you will draw a card. So Mr. Maleficent there will do ready, set, draw for the start of his turn, except at the start of your turn, you got nothing to do, so you just start right away.
So it's easy when you start your turn as the first person. You have nothing to ready, you have no draw on your first turn, and there's nothing to set. So here we go. Yeah. I'm going to, out of the first turn here...
Well, let me just say, for a turn, there are a lot of different things you can do, and you can essentially do them in any order. A lot of people, especially when you have to do it on the first turn, you have to ink first, that way you can play a card, but once, let's say you got like 4 ink out, before you take another card and you turn it into ink, you can play other cards. You can basically do anything that you can do in any order. You just want to do it all before you end your turn.
Yep, so I'm going to start right away. I'm going to ink away Scar. Now, you do have to show your opponent the card you are inking to prove that it is an inkable card. And from our basics video, you can remember that the gold circle means inkable. So go ahead and ink it. That gives me 1 in my inkwell, and I will therefore use this 1. You tap it, and I will play Shield of Virtue out, and my Shield of Virtue will be usable when I have 3 or more ink. I can tap it to ready up a character after they've already been exerted, in which case it allows you to go quest and then attack, because you can't quest after you've used the shield.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't play many card games, tapping it is another way of saying exerting it. It's just, Mr. Maleficent here is way more into the card games than I am, so he's got like the professional terms going on. So then it'll be my turn, so the first thing I'll do is draw a card. So I'll add this card to my hand. So first thing I got to do is ink something. I'm going to want to play this card, so I'm just going to ink this one here. She's going to go down there, and then I will exert her to play an Olaf. And now, for the game here, for character cards, technically if you look at like Disney's like layout for it, there's just inkwell and then cards in play. Generally, though, you'll see people play with 3 different rows. You have your inkwell, the top row here is your cards in play, and then the middle one is cards that are drawing. So since I just played this Olaf, I can't use him for anything. I can't quest with him, I can't challenge with him, so he's in this middle row here drawing. Once it's the start of my next turn, which I'll show you then, that's when he gets moved up. But I will just say that is the end of my turn right now, so on to you.
All right, so now we get to actually start doing things based on what we said, the ready, set, draw technique. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ready my ink. I have nothing to set. Nothing was drying this past turn. Your items are automatically right away ready to use. So I don't have to do anything there. So I'm just going to go into my draw, and now we're going to start the turn all over again. This time I'm going to ink a Shield of Virtue because I really don't want 2 of them out. So I'm going to go ahead and ink a Shield of Virtue, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass this turn from here over to Isaiah. And as you can see, the only card I would actually be able to play with my 2 ink would be this 1 card. However, based on what Stampede actually does, this card can't do anything right now to help me. So it's better for me just to pass this turn after I've added to my inkwell.
Alrighty, so I'm going to then ready my ink, set my character so he is no longer drawing. He is now ready to be played, and then I will draw. So I drew that card. For the strategy I got going on, I'm not going to get too in-depth into it, but I do kind of like all these cards here that I want to keep. So I'm going to ink the card I just drew, the Cinderella here. And then I will use my 2 ink to play Yzma. So Yzma will allow me to, on my next turn, if I quest with her, allow me to look at the cards in my deck, but nothing I can do just yet. So I have no more ink I can do. I already played 1 ink, which I don't remember if we said at the top, but you can only play 1 ink per turn, or turn 1 card into ink per turn. There are ways, especially with a Sapphire deck, to get more ink in your ink on your turn, but when you take one of your cards and physically turn it into ink, that's just once a turn. So the only thing I have left to do is I could either challenge with my Olaf or quest with him, or I could do nothing if I want to keep him safe. However, there's nobody for me to challenge, and I want to start scoring points. So I will exert my Olaf, and I will score 1 lore based off of what he has there. So people, you can use the app that Disney has made for scoring. There's a tracker that comes in every single starter deck, or a lot of people use D20s since the score goes up to 20. So I scored 1 point, so I'll put it at 1 there. And then I will say that is the end of my turn. Now it is yours.
All right, excellent. So I didn't tap anything this last turn, so I have nothing to ready. I have nothing to set again. I'm just going to go straight into my draw. Now in my draw, I'm going to end up inking a Jasper, and I'm going to in turn use all 3 of my ink to play Aladdin. Now when you play Aladdin, this character specifically, this Aladdin, each opponent will lose 1 lore, and that is each opponent loses 1 lore. So if you are playing a 4-person game, Aladdin actually negates 1 lore away from all 3 other opponents.
Up to all 3 others. But we'll actually be having a 3-person game. Somehow, we'll try to get that recorded for you guys. Just that way you can see exactly how that will play out as well. But I put mine, there's no 0 on this die. Some people, and I have one of these as well, has a special die where the 20 is like a special symbol instead. So that just marks 0 points. But I just went from 1 back to 0 essentially.
So it is your turn.
Alrighty. So I will ready my cards. Set my Yzma up there. And then I will draw a card. Good. I don't really want to ink these cards, so I was hoping for another inkable card, so I will ink another Cinderella here for 3. And I will use those 3 to play Sorceress Maleficent, which allows me to draw a card due to her ability Cast My Spell, which is really good in this game. So I got that. I can't do anything with her just yet. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to quest with Yzma there. So what that will allow me to do is take a look at the top card of my deck. I can choose either to put it back on top of the deck or on the bottom. This really doesn't do anything for me right now. It is inkable, which would be nice, but I'd rather maybe get a card that will be more useful for me to play. So I'm going to put it at the bottom of my deck. And that's really nice for getting cards that aren't really useful for you off the top. If you get non-starter deck cards for Amethyst, there's even more cards I like to kind of look through there, which is even stronger. But I will then quest with my Olaf, which will give me a total of 2 points amongst the both of them. So that is my score right now. And that is all I can do. So your turn.
All right, so this time I'm going to ready my ink. I'm going to set Aladdin. He's now dried up into the play area. And then I'm going to draw. I'm going to go ahead and ink away a Mad Hatter. And I will tap 3 ink this time to play another Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know what he does. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this Aladdin to damage your Olaf.
Okay. So
he takes 2 damage in a challenge. You're going to give the damage and the strength. And his health is 3. His willpower is 3. So he isn't dead. He's just taken 2 damage. He has 1 left. And in turn, I take 1 back from Olaf's strength. Now, with that said, I'm going to use my last ink exerted, and I'm going to play Stampede. And Stampede is going to remove Olaf.
Mm-hmm.
Stampede specifically does damage to damaged characters. 2 damage, so
So Olaf will go into my discard pile, which starts with nothing in it, but I usually put it right below my deck. We're a little confined on space here, so I'd actually usually put it even lower. But to save room for my ink, I will put it right there.
I'm actually going to toss my discard completely off the view of the camera.
I like to keep it on, especially with this deck, since I can take cards back out of my discard pile.
I cannot.
That way it's visible.
Ruby and Emerald, when they're lost, they're lost.
Mm-hmm. Is that your turn then?
That is my turn.
So I will ready my cards, set that, and then draw. It's a good card. Unfortunate. Actually, no, yeah, I'll keep that one, and I'm going to ink. Actually, first thing I'm going to do, because you don't have to ink right away, is I'm going to use Maleficent to sing Friends on the Other Side. Now, since her cost is 3, and this is a song with a cost 3, as long as she's 3, or whoever I'm using is 3 or higher, I can exert them to sing the song. And that way I don't have to spend any ink to do that. So what Friends on the Other Side allows me to do is just draw 2 cards. That's one of my favorite cards in the game. Those are some pretty good cards, too. I think I'm still... Who do I want to ink? So I'm going to keep that card for later. I am thinking of inking this one here, which I'm going to do. So I will ink this Jafar, and I will use that for ink to play Wayward Sorcerer Mickey Mouse. So then the only thing left that I can do now is to use my Yzma to quest for 1. And when I do that, I will look at the top card. It's funny. Just to make a quick decision, I'm just going to put this at the bottom of my deck. It could be useful later on, and it's inkable. But after drawing the 2 cards, I'm kind of set on... I can ink some of these cards if I need to. But that will score me a point to 2. And then that'll be my turn.
All right. I'm going to ready up my cards, set this Aladdin up there, and then I'm going to draw. And here we go. Okay, I'm going to ink away Steamboat Mickey.
Okay.
I'm going to use all 5, and we're going to bring forth Mad Hatter.
Oh, already.
And I'm now going to go ahead and remove your Maleficent by challenging with this Aladdin.
Okay. So you swap or trade characters essentially.
And then I'm going to go ahead and quest with this Aladdin to get myself onto the board with the lore points and be at 1. And it is your turn now.
Yeah, now see you guys, if I had good luck, I'd get the card that this one I could use that ability for, but I never do. I always just draw this card, and that's it. So let's see if my luck changes right here. So I will ready, set, and will I draw that card? Oh, look at that. I actually drew it. That's funny. So I got 4 there. First thing I'm going to do is, because of my Mickey Mouse there, I'm just going to use 1 ink to play my Magic Broom, since it allows me to play 1 less to play my Broom characters. Now, right now in the game, this is the only Broom character, but I'm guessing based off the wordage there, we might get more in the future. But when I play the Magic Broom, I can shuffle a card from my discard pile back into my deck. And so what I'm going to do is take this Friends on the Other Side, and I will shuffle it back into my deck. Maleficent would be another good choice. I was kind of up in the air which one I wanted to do, but I know there's... Actually, no. I think there's 3 Friends on the Other Side in this deck, so it probably would have been smarter to do the Maleficent, but choice was already made.
And something to note, when you're playing in official tournaments and you're doing any kind of shuffling of your deck, not when you're taking a card and setting it on the top or the bottom based on something, but when you are doing a shuffle, you do want to offer the opponent the option to cut your deck still. I'm not going to cut North's deck because we're just giving you an example anyway, so I know he's not, preloading the deck. Just something you want to do so you don't look like a rude person.
And I'll usually shuffle even a little bit longer because I like to shuffle good, but for the sake of time, let's just keep that there. Alrighty. So next thing I can do on my turn, I am going to... So I can do that next turn if I do this now. So I don't want to do this, but I will... Actually, no, because I know what he has in his hand. So in the red in the ruby deck there, you got a lot of evasive characters. So I actually want to hold on to this one just to be safe. But I will ink. Actually, I'm just going to... Yeah, I kind of need to. I'm going to ink this Dr. Facilia there, even though I really don't want to. And use all 4 to play my Jetsam. So he's evasive, which means only other evasive characters can attack him. And then I will quest with my Yzma. Look at the top card of my deck. I don't really need that. So that is going to go on the bottom there. I just realized I've been doing a lot of... Wait, did I put him on the bottom or top?
You put it on the bottom.
I didn't. Okay.
Yep.
Getting a lot of amethyst cards, not a lot of amber. But that'll score me 1 point, and then... Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just quest for 2 points then with him. So that will score me a total of 3 points, bringing me up to... Where's the 5 there? 5 lore. And then that will be the end of my turn.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ready my stuff. Mad Hatter's now up here into active, and I will draw. And look at that. That's just wonderful. So here's where you get into a tricky situation when you're running a deck that does not have draw support. And Ruby and Emerald do not have a ton of draw support. If you'll notice, my Mad Hatter does have draw support in the fact that if North does decide to attack my Mad Hatter, I will get some draw, but I can't bank on that. And so I personally am not going to choose to ink this turn so that I do have a card available in hand. I am going to run in 4 of my ink down to play Pongo, who also does have evasive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to quest with Mad Hatter for 3. And I'm going to remove that pesky Yzma with my Aladdin, which will also end up removing my Aladdin. So I'm going to jump up to 4 with my total lore count. And that'll be the end of my turn.
All right, so I already set, draw something decent. Yes, actually, that is decent. Now, that Mad Hatter's gonna be quite a bit of a problem. So I'm probably not gonna ink this turn either, or I might ink a little bit later. But the first thing I'm gonna do is use one of my inks to play chosen character gets -2 this turn, control your temper. I'm going to give your Mad Hatter -2. And so then what I will do is... Yeah, you're going to get to draw some cards, but I want to get rid of that Mad Hatter before he can score too much. So you're going to score 2 cards as I banish him, and due to the -2 strength this turn, I don't take any damage from damaging him at all.
Excellent.
And then I will use... I actually probably should have killed my broom just so I could put it back in my hand and play it, but... Oh well, that's more advanced strategy that I'm not thinking about right now. I'll quest for 2. Give myself 7. And then I will use 3 ink to play this other Mickey Mouse there. And then that will be my turn.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and ready all my stuff. Set Pongo up there. Draw. And excellent. I'm going to go ahead here on this one now and I'm not going to ink again, to be completely honest with you, but I am going to use all 5. And this time I'm going to play 2 cards. I'm going to play Pongo and Sergeant Tibbs down for a total of 5 ink for those. And then I'm going to go on ahead and quest away with Pongo for 2 to move me up to 6 total lore.
All right. My turn then?
Yes, it is.
All right. I will ready. Set. I'm going to do a little bit of squeezing here. Get these, keep these in camera, and then draw. That is great. I will immediately ink this Mickey Mouse here. And then I will use all 6 to play Sven. I will then use my Jetsam here to attack and kill your Pongo.
Taking 2
And I will take 2 damage from doing that. And then I will quest with the rest of my characters to give myself 5 lore. So that'll bring me up to 12 there. And that'll be my... Yes, that's everything I can do. That's my turn.
All right. Going ahead and moving my characters up. We're going to ready all of my ink again. And then I'm going to draw again. All right. So I'm going to go ahead right out of the gate and just use 1 to stampede over Jetsam.
Nice. Ruined my plan.
And then I am going to ink away this captain to give me 5 to then play this captain. So I now did empty my hand, which, again, I'm not ultra fond of, but it is what I had to do for this turn. I'm getting a little bit too far behind, and I need to make up some ground. With that being said, I also am going to then just quest with both Pongo and Tibbs to gain me another 3 and bring me up to a total of 9. And I think that's all I will do for this turn.
All right, so I will ready, set. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ink there, and draw. All right, perfect. So with this one, that ability doesn't matter as much anymore, but I'm going to use ink this aerial here, which gives me 7, which I will then use to play my Dr. Facilier Agent Provocateur there. So whenever one of my other characters is banished in a challenge, they return to I can return that card to my hand. That's a great one. I was just going to use it for this Mickey one anyway, so it didn't really matter, but I'm going to challenge and banish your Sergeant Tibbs there, and the broom, based off of both of these abilities, will go back into my hand. I will then and I'll explain my strategy here, even though usually I keep quiet about this, but I'm not going to do anything with these characters because I'm worried about that captain killing them, so I'm just going to quest with my Sven for 1 lore. That way my other characters are safe, and since he's so strong, I'm all right with him getting challenged. So that'll be my turn.
All right, so I'm going to ready my cards and bring up my set here, and I will draw, and... yeah, sure. I'm going to go ahead and play this card. Costs 3 ink to play it. It's Iago. And I can't use this ability until I go up into the active space next turn. Mm-hmm. I'm going to quest with Captain for 1, bringing me to 10. And then I'm going to... you know what? I'm not going to do anything about that, I don't think. Yeah, I won't. I'm just going to quest with both of them, to tell you the truth. And I'm just going to get to 12. And... no, I am going to exert my shield this time to bring back up my captain. It doesn't really matter. This is a game-ending situation for me. So I will attack the Sven with my captain, which will eliminate my captain, and Sven will still have 1 health left.
Yes.
And that's all I actually can do. There's nothing else I can do to avoid anything. I could have decided not to quest with Pongo and gotten rid of Sven, but as you're going to see here on the next turn, North will
matter.
Yeah, North will be able to get the Lord to finish. One of the cards that's great about the Ruby set that we don't have in the starter deck is Be Prepared, which is a complete board wipe, and I would have been really hoping to have gotten that if I was in this situation.
Or you do have in your deck as well Dragon Flame.
Dragon Flame and would banish a card, but
yeah, and like getting rid of it, because you can choose any card, so he could have banished this one like immediately.
Yep, but I did not draw that, so unfortunately, that's the way it is.
So what I will do then, so in most games you could just be like, just concede the game there, but I'll just finish out the turn for me. I will ready, set, and draw. Just for the fun of it, I'll use my 3 ink to play these 2 characters. But then on my turn, I can just quest with all my characters, which will give me 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, which will bring me to 21 or cap me off at 20, which will score me the victory. So you can see, like, there is strategy to not questing with characters. They can't be challenged, because once you get more characters out there, it can kind of guarantee the win, essentially. And so by doing my Sven, I knew that he could challenge and replace, but I could just put him back down with my Dr. Facilier, and I'd still have enough points to win. But yeah, that is an example game there. Typically what I'll do, especially when I lose, the game is to be like, oh man, what would my next card have been? Oh, nothing good, actually, for me. But it's... even this like example game here, and even with the starter decks, they have a lot of good cards, fun cards. It's still fun to play, and there's a lot of different things that could happen depending. Look how many cards we still have in our deck here. I've only ever one time seen somebody go through their complete deck.
There are mill decks that are meant to mill out a person. That's one thing we're going to start bringing to you. Now that we've given you an example game, we've given you a lot of the basics. We do have some more, different things that we are going to bring you in videos that help you understand the game more. But we also are going to start bringing you actual deck builds, and some of the ones that are really strong currently and competitive, some of the just fun, hey, you like this character, let's build around it and see if we can make it good.
Like the princess decks.
Very much like that. So, we're going to bring you some more content that is not just based on starter decks. This was just to show you how to play a game. So your hands are kind of tied, like you saw in my situation. I wasn't exactly getting the cards I would want to play.
Yeah, even just strategy just can change in the end. But we're going to end that here. This is everything you'll need to know about how to play a game of Lorcana. If you want to, we have a video and playlist here that you want to check out. And besides that, game on.
Keep questioning, my friends.